Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
And just like that, we're down to the Final Four of college football. How about that? How about that? My name is Jason Hammer. Right across from me, former elected official in the great state of Indiana, a man who would go out to the bars and threaten to turn off people's water if they did not give him a phone number, Rob Kendall. He's also a #1 rated radio host as well. Let me be the latest to tell you, congratulations, Rob. You are a card-carrying, die-hard Notre Dame football fan. You make no bones about it. Like on this program, we let everybody know who we are. We are not professional handicappers. We're a couple dudes. One of us drinks too much. The other one's got a punchable face. Some people say is unlikable. But you are a Notre Dame guy, and you've got a system in place for betting the Irish all throughout the season.
So here's my question, Hammer. At this point, I think I may be considered a Notre Dame football booster on the amount of money I've been willing to lose so that Notre Dame wins their games. Let's face it. I mean, I'm horrible luck, right? If I'm for your team, that should be the last thing you want
It's
to
the
happen.
kiss of death.
It is.
Right.
So
for those listening for the first time here, let's reset what your game plan is when you're betting on Notre Dame football.
So I always bet against Notre Dame. That way there is no way that I can lose because the small amount that I bet each week,
You're very cheap, man.
I would gladly lose to buy another week of watching Notre Dame football. So every week for the past 3 weeks, despite the fact that I thought Notre Dame would cover the spreads, which they have, I have sacrificed $5. So I'm $15 in order to ensure a Notre Dame victory.
And for you to bet $5, that's like any one of us betting $200.
That's right.
Like that's how cheap and petty you really are. So again, your perspective is that you will either have your team win the game or you will win some sort of bet, some sort of monetary prize, and either way, there's a little smile on your face at the end.
That's right. I can't lose.
Okay. So I think I kind of know where you're going with this one, but Thursday night, let's get into it. Penn State, Notre Dame. The line is 2.5. Notre Dame is a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under right around 45.5.
All right, so I'm obviously going to take Penn State laying the 2.5. Now, I've prefaced each of the games the past several weeks saying if I were a neutral bettor, what I would do. And both weeks I've said that I would take Notre Dame covering the spread, which they did. This week is a little different, though, because Penn State has got a dude that I don't think Notre Dame's seen before this year, and it's that tight end, big number 44, Tyler Warren. He has scored 8 touchdowns this year for Penn State, and he's a hoss over the middle as a tight end. They use him in the backfield to run the football. He's like a George Kittle type of guy, and he is big, and Notre Dame has not seen a guy like this year. I still think if I had to bet that I would take Notre Dame because I don't know who Penn State's got who can – Penn State doesn't really have horses per se, but old big number 44, Tyler Warren, he's a dude.
I love both defenses in this game. I would take a look at the under, but I feel like that's right. It's like should be right where it is, that
right.
45.5. But I think Notre Dame is the better team right now. And I've got faith that Al Golden's defense is going to game plan against anything Big Game James is coming to the table with. And when you look at this Penn State squad, yes, Drew Aller is playing pretty well right now. But the only time he's seen a legit defense against the pass was Ohio State. And Ohio State beat Penn State in Happy Valley. Now, Penn State could have won that game, but the offense didn't put up their end of the bargain in that game. And I think it's going to kind of be the same thing here. I like Notre Dame minus 2.5. This is a game that could come down to a field goal, which, boy, you cross your fingers with Notre Dame. Most of the season, their kicking, was the worst in college football. But then last week, old Jan Stenerud comes out there. Adam Vinatieri comes out there and starts booting them left and right. So you never know. But I will lay 2.5 here with Notre Dame. I think they punched their ticket to the national championship game. And for those who have been listening to this little nickel and dime pony show, which, by the way, is brought to you by StatFactory.io.
That's correct.
Are you ready to get off Marcus Freeman's ass yet? Because you were wanting this dude fired most of the season. Before the season, during, certainly after the Northern Illinois debacle. Are you ready to get off his ass yet?
Do you know what we had to go through the last couple of years with Notre Dame? Do you know what we had to go through with the last couple of years when we were playing in I was going to say the Pop-Tart Bowl, but that's really popular now. What would be a bad product? The
Bahamas Bowl?
The Dental Floss Bowl or whatever. I don't know. We were playing Oregon State in some bowl last year. Look, they've had a great year. And he's clearly figured out how to work the portal. He's done that very well. And, which, by the way, you yelled at me last week, because we got into this. We had this conversation about this, that some of the charm of this has gone away from me because I feel like these kids are just a bunch of mercenaries now. Does that make me a bad person? Am I just missing the point of all this?
It's college sports. The names change every year. Dudes graduate. Dudes transfer. They're all mercenaries. They've always been that way. Like, why now all of a sudden out of left field when your team is finally having some success, are you bothered by the fact that, well, we got this guy from the transfer portal. Well, he wasn't a recruit from Notre Dame. Why do you care?
Because when I was a kid, when I was growing up, IU basketball and Notre Dame football were what we watched in our house. And for all of those kids, there was something special to them about being a part of that program. And you knew you were basically going to get 4 or 5 years to watch these kids basically grow up because they loved the thing. Notre Dame football was far bigger than any player that had ever played there. Was far bigger than any championship ever won. They were in love with what it meant to be Notre Dame. And these kids now, some of them still do, but most of them I just feel like they're just hired guns. I'm just cheering for hired guns who happen to wear the helmet and play for the team that I've always liked.
Your quarterback now, the kid you got from Duke, Riley Leonard, is a guy that always talks about his faith. Every interview, he talks about his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. How can you not like this guy if you're a fan of the Golden Dome, Touchdown Jesus, and all the things that Notre Dame has to offer?
I'm not saying I'm not a fan of him. He's, by all accounts, a wonderful, wonderful kid. I'm just saying, Hammer, and maybe part of this is that I don't allow myself to have happiness. And maybe that's, at the end of the day, what this is all about.
That's fancy talk for you saying you're a miserable prick.
Yeah, it probably
all the
could
time.
Be. Could be.
And how you found a wife and how she was willing to drop a shorty with you is nothing short of a miracle.
Very firm handshake.
Modern science.
So you think I'm totally out of bounds on this by saying it's not the same as it used to be and I don't get the same enjoyment I used to get out of it?
Yes, because I think there's a difference between having unlikable guys on your team and not feeling the same connection. Like, I'm a Colts fan. That's an unlikable team. Zaire Franklin is an unlikable dude. He's good, but he's unlikable. Trolling the fans, trolling Pat McAfee. Like, there's a difference between having unlikable guys on your team and your school keeping up with the Joneses and doing what everybody else does, but still bringing in some pretty good guys. Like, I don't see many Notre Dame players getting arrested. I don't see many Notre Dame players, begging for nudes on social media. Like, what more do you want?
I want things, you know how I am about change, and I hate change, and I just want things to be the way they used to be, and I don't know. I mean, I'm still enjoying it. I'm still liking the fact that the team that my grandfather cheered for and my team my dad cheered for and I grew up cheering for is doing well. Clearly there's something that happened in my childhood that I haven't dealt with yet that I'm going to have to, poke and prod around with, and maybe then I'll feel better about all this.
Be careful when you say childhood poke and prod when you're talking about a game featuring the Catholics and the Fighting Jerry Sandusky's. Just be careful. And on that note, we're going to take a little time out. When we come back, we're going to get our professional in the mix, David Stefanoff of Follow Never Fade. He's got action on Ohio State and Texas. That play is coming up next. We are the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io, your one-stop shop for all statistics you need to become a better. StatFactory.io. Check out that free preview right now. Sign up. All right, we've got one of the college football playoff games in the rearview mirror. Rob, because he's a Notre Dame fan, is betting on Penn State because he thinks he's a jinx. I am taking this seriously, and I bet on Notre Dame -2.5. The other game, you've got Texas against Ohio State. Ohio State 6-point road favorite, and I say road because technically it's a neutral site game, but it's the Cotton Bowl in Texas. So take that for what you will. David Stefanoff of FollowNeverFade.com is a professional handicapper. David, where are we at here with Ohio State and Texas?
This is going to be a good one, Hammer, and I'm glad you pointed out this is the Cotton Bowl for people to be aware. Tickets are going to be 50-50, but we know this is in Texas. Ohio State's got a huge fan base. The line as of this morning was dropped down to 5.5, 53.5. I don't think there'll be many points scored in this game, but I'm liking Ohio State here, Hammer. First of all, thank you, Rob and Hammer, for having me on. Sorry, very rude of me. I like Ohio State here, guys, in this spot, minus the 5.5. Let me tell you why. If you look at it on stats, I know Ohio State this year. They're 4 points from being undefeated. I did think that's deep, and they got revenge on Oregon. And I think we all know the Ohio State-Michigan game, it's a rivalry. I think Ohio State's the player, even though, Vegas is telling you, they're making them the favorite. It's at the Cotton Bowl. We don't know what the home field advantage. But Ryan Day had a lot of pressure. The pressure was on him. If he didn't win a couple games during this playoff, he probably would have lost his job. But I think he saved his job, and I think they're the favorites to win the national championship at this point. I'm sure Vegas agrees with me, but I'm laying the points here. I don't see a lot of points coming here in this game, guys. I know yours had trouble. He's hot. He's sketchy. Look for Arch Manning to play a big role here. But one thing I ask you guys, last game when Texas played Arizona State, have you ever seen a coach walk down and freeze the kicker and get in his face before a game time field goal? Have you guys ever seen that? But I'm liking Ohio State here. I'm going to lay the 5 points, a low-scoring, ugly game. I don't see a lot of points coming here, guys. Both these teams are going to be well-prepared, great defenses. All the stats back it up. But I think Ryan Day and Ohio State's going to be your national champions all said and done. The first game, you guys, I think both these games are going to be low-scoring games. I lean on the other game, guys. I kind of lean Penn State because Notre Dame hasn't scored very many points against the good teams. They're deep, and the running back might be banged up. But I love Ohio State here, guys. It's a VIP play. I'm laying the 5.5. I'm sorry, if it's on 5.5, I'm going to buy it down to 5. I don't play the half points. But we're going to take Ohio State -5 here, guys. Lay the points versus Texas. Look for Ohio State to go on the national championship.
And where can we get more of your expertise and your tennis plays, your college basketball plays, all that kind of stuff, man? Where can we go?
You're speaking sexy to me, Hammer, talking about tennis, boy. Okay. You guys, I'm on everywhere. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Every single day, you follow me. Message me directly if you ever have a question. Easy to sign up, $100 a week, get all my plays. But like Hammer said, Australian Open, I tell people this every day on my videos. If you watch me and follow me, tennis is the easiest. NFL is the hardest thing to bet in the whole world. Tennis is the easiest thing to bet in the whole world. Australian Open starts next week. Well, we're in the middle of college basketball. You know what it is. We love college basketball here, and I'm sure Hammer and then be ready for after football's over to dig into the Big Ten. But, hey, follow me on all platforms. Free plays every single day. I post on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Make sure you go check out TikTok. We're on a hot. We haven't lost a game so far in 2025 on TikTok, guys. But thank you again, Hammer. Thank you, Rob. Happy New Year, everybody. But no matter what, follow Never Fade.
All right, so our professional handicapper, David Stefanoff, FollowNeverFade.com. He's on the Buckeyes. Now, he's seeing some line movement here. He talks about 5.5. He mentions a 5. I have not seen a 5 yet. I see a lot of 6s. But this is where StatFactory.io comes into play here, Rob.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I see a 6, and I see a 6, and I see another 6, and a whole lot of 6s, and a whole lot of 5.5s. So we will know if it moves at a click of a mouse because all the odds from all the major sports betting books right there at StatFactory.io.
So shop around and get the best number for your bet. By the way, what is your bet? on Ohio State and Texas?
Well, so at the first episode of the year, on the first ever Degenerates Next Door Sports Betting Podcast, I took Texas to win the national championship. And, I mean, I've gone this far with them, right? Although, you ever do this where you forget, like, a long-term bet you made? I was cheering for Arizona State to win that. I'd already won the bet because I had Arizona State getting the 13. I was cheering for Arizona State to win that game at the end. And then after the game, I looked at my dad who was watching the game with, and I said, why did I do that? I have money on Texas winning the national championship.
You got caught up in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I so wanted them to win. I was just so upset. And then I realized, wait, I have money on the outcome of Texas winning the national championship. I'm going with Texas. Look, I know they've kind of looked suspect, but they were up 16 on Arizona State at one point, and they fell asleep. Now, Carrot Top can't kick a field goal, so that's a big deal. But we talk about the recency bias, right? Is there too much recency bias on Ohio State? What team are they? The team that got beat by Michigan? Is that more them? Or the team that beat the crap out of Oregon? 6 is a lot. 6 is a lot of points. And how could I bet against myself? How could I bet against myself, Hammer? I'm taking Texas getting the 6.
Don't you bet against yourself with every Notre Dame game? We literally had this conversation at the beginning of the show.
I got no emotional attachment to this game, though. I don't care other than money-wise. 6 is a lot, right?
It is a lot, and it's a road game, right? Ohio State has a lot of fans. But let's be honest, those fans have been known to sell some tickets from time to time. That was a Tennessee Volunteers invasion in that first-round playoff game.
And Texas, other than Georgia, has been the best team in the country. I mean, they went in a couple weeks ago to Texas A&M, which is a hard place to play, and they won by like 10 points. Texas is really good. Other than Georgia, they haven't lost a game. Why does everybody think Texas? I mean, they still look. They almost blew the game, but they still won that game last week. I think people are too down on Texas. Somebody's going to send Quinn Ewers some nudes. He's going to be fine, and we're going to keep it within 6 points.
I'm on the Bucks, man.
You're going 5.5, right? So you got it 5.5.
Looking at 6, looking at 5.5, I will take it up to 6. Let me just say this. I'd be comfortable laying 6 with Ohio State. 6 is a number that might get you a push, but I wouldn't go to 6.5 because that's basically 7.
Yeah.
6 is where I want to be. I just think those are NFL wide receivers. NFL wide receivers. And I know Texas has got athletes too, but right now, Ohio State's offense is just clicking. If their quarterback play is just average, doesn't even have to be good or great. If it's average, they're going to score some points. And I don't know if Quinn Ewers, whether he's not healthy or whether there's something else going on, I don't think he wants any part of a shootout. I feel more comfortable laying the points than I do the total. -6 is the number.
To quote Rush Limbaugh about Barack Obama, I hope you fail.
And on that note, let's take one more time out. When we come back, we're going to get nuts. We've got a degenerate special where time is a factor. That is coming up next. We are the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by our good friends at StatFactory.io. Sign up and get the free trial. What do you have to lose? The free trial of StatFactory.io, where you can get all of the stats that you want. You can put them side by side. You can put them on like a little worksheet area. This is it. This is the model, right? Whenever you hear these sports betting gurus say, the model shows this. Well, this is the model. And it's a free preview. You customize the algorithm that you think works the best and sign up for free and check out the trial. StatFactory.io. All right, Rob Kendall, serious question.
Yeah.
Are you ready to get nuts?
All right, want to get nuts? Come on.
Let's get nuts! Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts. Let's do it.
Nuts is on a winning streak, Hammer. Nuts is on a winning streak. You took Nuts 2 weeks ago.
I did.
And you went up with Notre Dame.
Yes.
They won. You took a higher spread than what was there, and they covered. Nuts, from the depths of despair, Nuts came back to win last week when Corey Connors at an impressive plus 550 finished in the top 5 at the Century Championship. Boy, you've never lived until you're watching the Century Championship on a shot tracker on your cellular telephone to see if some guy doesn't make an eagle on the final hole who's not even contention to win the tournament. You've never lived until you've done that, Hammer.
We were texting you back and forth. Oh, my God, I can't believe, this in the college football games. Or who do you think is going to get fired in the NFL? We have a text thread with our degenerate pals. And you would just respond every time with, Corey Connors still in it.
Nuts is still in it.
Nuts is still in it.
Nuts.
Corey Connors, puncher's chance.
All right. Okay, so here we go. We're going to stay with golf. This is the one thing I seem to know anything about. This week, it is the Sony Open in Hawaii, and we are going with Cameron Davis.
Who?
Cameron Davis, that's right. 60-1 to win the Sony Open in Hawaii. Now, here's my thinking. First of all, this guy has won twice on the PGA Tour before, so he's not a complete no-name. He finished 13th last week in the Century despite having a horrible first day where he played the wrong ball and got a double bogey. He shot 62 in the opening round of this tournament last year. I'm in. $1 pays 60. What do you have to lose? $1 on Cameron Davis, 60-1 to win the Sony Open.
All right. Want to get nuts? Come on.
Let's get nuts! Lights out! Now you want to get nuts? Come on! Let's get nuts.
That's strong. That's a strong play, and you're right. Let's Get Nuts is on a heater right now. And the whole premise behind Let's Get Nuts is it's plus money.
Yeah.
It's a, risky bet, but it's plus money. That's why it's nuts. And we're rolling on it.
We're rolling on nuts.
Now, another thing we've been rolling on is the Degenerate Special.
It's time for Hammer's Degenerate Special.
We've now made the transition to college basketball. And boy, there are some bad teams in college basketball. Like North Carolina Central and Morgan State. They play each other today. Okay? So at the time of this recording, if you're listening to this the day of, it's Tuesday. It's around 12:25 right now, the time we're recording this podcast. Tip-off for North Carolina Central and Morgan State is 4 p.m. today. So time is a factor here, people. North Carolina Central is a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 156. Here's the breakdown. Morgan State sucks. And I cannot stress this enough. Morgan State sucks. In their last game against South Carolina State, they lost 86-72. Morgan State on the season is averaging 80.5 points, which isn't bad. But their defense is giving up 82 points per game. That means their offense is ranked 70th, but their defense comes in at 352nd. Each of Morgan State's last 9 games have produced a total over 158 points. Now, North Carolina Central, their offense averaging 79.4, but their defense is giving up 72.6, which means they come in at 89th offensively, but defensively, while better than Morgan State, they're 224th. So we are going to ride the lightning and go over 156, 4 p.m. tip-off, North Carolina Central at Morgan State. Nobody wants to play any defense, and that is your Degenerate Special. What are you shaking your head at?
No, I'm just laughing. I just love this show that this is what we bring to the populace is a game like that. Where else are you going to get that?
Right. Hey, the money you win on this 4 p.m. tip-off between NCC and MSU spends the same as the Notre Dame game on Thursday night. Speaking of which, let's recap the board here. Rob, what do you got?
Well, as usual, I'm betting against Notre Dame in hopes that they win and I lose money. I'll take Penn State getting 2.5, and hopefully someone sent Quinn Ewers some nudes. I'm in on Texas getting 6. And if you want to get nuts, Cam Davis to win the Sony Open at 60-1.
I'm on the Irish. I'm going to lay 2.5. I like Riley Leonard making plays not only with his arm, but with the legs. I love that defense. Ohio State, -6. That's the highest I want to go. If you can find a better number, Godspeed. But I like the Buckeyes right now. They look like they're on a mission ever since that Michigan embarrassment. And the Degenerate Special. Time is a factor. 4 p.m. tip-off on Tuesday. North Carolina Central, Morgan State, over 156. Those are our plays. Boy, if you're betting any of these games with us, let's win so much damn money that we can be above the law. Remember the movie Kingpin, Big Earn, when he finally won at the end? Big Earn is above the law. That's the goal with these picks. For Rob Kendall, for David Stefanoff of FollowNeverFade.com, my name is Jason Hammer. We will be back on Thursday to talk a little NFL playoff edition of the Degenerates Next Door on Thursday. Thank you to StatFactory.io, and as always, may the odds be ever in your favor.